Okay, so this is probably something I haven't done in a while, but it actually, by the looks of it, seems like I've abandoned this thing for quite a long time. But I've actually been working on this very sporadically, and when I say very sporadically, it is near abandonment, but I have been. The last video I updated was talking about how I was starting a new project with a friend of mine, and how I was going to be working on trying to get Sprite handling implemented. And that was actually something I fully finished on that project. I never wound up showing it because around the time I got all that working, we both got busy and the project promptly died. I lost all the files after a little while as well when my laptop went out, and so I kind of lost the motivation to pick up some of this stuff. But a little bit down the road, I actually had a backup of the original project I had before all of that, and I rewrote that code, rewrote the sprite stuff, and played around with it, and it was pretty fun. But it kind of died in place because I had a significant problem that was placing things and making like a stage or a level was painful. I didn't like it. It was soul crushing and it was too tedious. And a lot of it was based in how I had everything set up, just the overall framework of everything. And so what inspired me to fix it this time was that I had a strange idea where, okay, if you see me walking on this map, we have all these rectangles here. And normally what I'd have to do is define all of these rectangles as their own separate objects and place them into the scene. And then they'd have their own individual hitboxes. The big thing is specifically the hitboxes, is why I would have to do this. And so the problem with that is that's just annoying. If I make a stage, I have to place every tiny little thing outside of just, drawing it out or anything, designing it. No, then I have to go through and I have to code it. And it's not just a simple thing of saying, okay, place this here. There's, because of just how horrible and jumbled a lot of this code was, it was a whole ordeal. It wasn't something I wanted to do. So I often abandoned the projects because the way I was handling things was so horribly done that actually using this kind of idea of an engine to make anything out of it was just unbearable. I couldn't do it. So this attempt instead was, okay, what if I don't do that? What if I try to make a system where I just draw the stage? Like this, what you're looking at right here is actually a PNG file. These are not separate objects. These are all the same object. It is looking at a PNG file and looking at the pixels and determining, okay, what is a boundary, what can I hit and what can't I hit. And that was something I didn't even consider at the time. But looking at it now, this is a much nicer way to handle things because something like this stage, this took me, like 10 seconds to make. I mean, it looks like I took 10 seconds to make it. But when you're talking about how much time it took me to build even like the test levels, or just how much effort it took to build the test levels, and those things were garbage, it definitely is a lot nicer because it's not even a case of, I just fell off. It's not even the case of, saying placing things, but like designing things. I can just play on MS Paint to my heart's content and make an absolutely beautiful stage, and I don't have to worry about any of the code or anything like that to make sure that stage works because I know it does. And so this was something that was really motivating me and exciting me to try to see if I could do this. And having it done, well, there's a reason why I'm uploading this, was because it's something that I've actually hit a point where I'm like, okay, hey, let's roll with this. I'm going to see where I can go. So, in standard fashion, let's talk about some bugs, because I've been playing around with this a little bit, and boy do I have some bugs. So, first off, as you can see, we have a new collision detection system compared to the old one. And with it, you see that little bounce? Except for now, we don't actually have that happening. So, what's happening here is that we're not actually resolving collisions properly. Normally what we would do in the old system is say that if I hit a wall, then if I'm going to hit a wall in the next frame with my velocity, it sets my velocity to 0 and then moves my character so I'm butted up against it. So if I'm supposed to move like 4 pixels but I only have room to move 2, it'll move me those 2. I don't have that currently implemented because it doesn't work in the very crude fashion that worked before, where you just have a bunch of square hitboxes everywhere. Because if I was to run into here and say, okay, just bud me up against the left edge, well, the left edge is actually all the way over here because the entire stage is one object. And that's something I kind of want to talk about a little bit more on its own. That'll be its own video because I really think this is a cool system and I like it. But the issue with that is right now all I'm doing is I'm just saying, okay, if you can't move, then your velocity is 0, you're not going to move at all. So I don't butt up against it. And the problem is with falling. So what looks like a bounce is actually me just stopping in the air and then gravity restarting me again. And so because I'm moving too fast is basically what I'm saying is in the frame where I'm stopped, the game determines that if I keep going at that speed, I'm going to be inside the platform and that's not allowed. So what happens is that it stops me and then gravity reapplies because obviously I'm not on the ground and I fall back down. And so I need to have some kind of resolution there, and that's probably going to be a bit of code. Although there could also just be the lazy attempt of I could figure out at what point, like what heights and everything, or what settings of gravity, I can build a map that just doesn't allow that to happen. And that would be a very lazy approach to getting this done. But, I'd like to be able to fix this. Um, but as I indicated before, I worked on stuff with things like handling sprites, and I thought that was a really cool idea. So this is running in here, and we actually have all the back work for sprite-based animation, and that's going to be really cool because once I get some sprites built, I can showcase a little bit of those, although they're going to be very crude. I'm not very artistically talented, and depending on what I reveal, that might be very, very well on display. But that's pretty much what I just want to do is showcase, hey, look at this. I've got a cool new system going up, and I've got some new life breathed into this project. I'll see where it goes, and with that, yeah, see you guys around.